Now, we also had, along those lines, an odd case of really, as I termed it, dishonest transparency this week. Because as you may know, that Congress has been investigating the so-called Russia collusion scandal. And the Senate has an investigation going on, and so does the House. And the Senate investigation is mostly focused on the Judiciary Committee, which is run by Senator Charles Grassley, who's the Republican from Iowa, and the senior Democrat on the committee is Dianne Feinstein of California. And Feinstein leaked, or partially leaked, which is the dishonest part of the transparency, the deposition transcript or interview transcript of Glenn Simpson, who is the owner or director, or whatever you want to call it, but he's the guy behind Fusion GPS, the Clinton campaign vendor who created the dossier that was both leaked to the media and to the FBI and Justice Department, and according to reports, almost certainly used to justify spying, which I think was illicit spying on President Trump, or then candidate-elect Trump. And a dossier which I'm convinced is also being used by Robert Mueller. So there have been these tremendous court fights because Fusion GPS has been fighting tooth and nail about disclosures related to their activities. And outrageously, the Justice Department and the FBI has been fighting Congress tooth and nail about its use or misuse of the dossier, any payments to the dossier authors and things like that. It got so bad that Devin Nunes, who's head of the Intelligence Committee, had to threaten contempt of the Republican-controlled FBI and Justice Department. You had the Republican Intelligence Committee chairman really having to go to the mat to get this information. And supposedly the information was conveyed over to the House last week. We don't know what's in it because it was given to the House. It wasn't given to Judicial Watch. Outrageously, the FBI and Justice Department are telling Judicial Watch they can't confirm or deny whether the dossier or payments about it or documents about it even exist. They just gave everything to Congress, but they refused to tell us whether it exists or not. This is the shell game of transparency that the deep state is playing, that Robert Mueller is playing, and it's got to stop. So getting back to what Feinstein did, she released this partial transcript. And what do I mean by partial? Well, when you're questioned typically by investigators or lawyers, there are documents that you're asked questions about. None of the documents were released. And they also deleted the names of the FBI agents that the Fusion GPS, remember the Clinton campaign vendor, collaborated with on the dossier issue. So what's not in there? Again, the Clinton the names of the FBI agents who the Clinton dossier author went to talk about what he found. And it turns out the FBI gave him supposedly some information about Donald Trump. And what's also interesting is, and when you look at it, and you should really review the transcript. I did read the whole thing. It's 310 pages. It's available on Senator Feinstein's website. You can find it pretty easily online. You'll see that Mr. Simpson of Fusion GPS refused to answer a bunch of questions about his sources and, most importantly, about who was paying him to compile the Trump dossier. It would have been a very different questioning if they had known at the time, the Senate investigators, that it was the Clinton gang that paid Glenn Simpson to handle the dossier and create the dossier. And Simpson also refused to say whether we now know to be, but it was his unnamed client, was involved in directing the dossier author in terms of his communications and activities with the Russians. So this is the way it worked. You had Hillary Clinton hire someone to collude with the Russians to get dirt that Donald Trump supposedly is colluding with the Russians. And who gets investigated? Donald Trump. You know, and based on what Fusion GPS supposedly found in one of the dossiers it shared with the FBI, the concern was that the Russians had dirt on Donald Trump and would use it to blackmail him. So what did the FBI under the corrupt Barack Obama do, and the corrupt James Comey do, and the corrupt Attorney General Lynch do? It looks like, by all accounts, they used that as an excuse to target the Trump organization with a FISA warrants and other investigations. Instead of warning the president, not the president-elect, but the candidate that he might be being scammed or being targeted by the Russians, no. They use it as a justification to spy on his campaign and people close to him. There's almost no doubt that happened. It hasn't been confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt, but I've been reading everything I can on this. I've been looking at all the public commentary, and it's been confirmed 6 ways to Sunday in a way that I can tell you that's probably what happened. And Senator Feinstein's making a big deal about releasing this garbage this dishonest deposition transcript onto the internet and to the public. A lot there to be upset about. And I want everything to be declassified about this. Now, of course, I don't want something that's going to harm our national security to be declassified, but the deep state is hiding behind the classification and the Mueller operation to keep this corruption away from the American people. That's what's happening right now. We're using it to keep it away from Congress for 5 months, information about this dodgy dossier. They still won't give anything to the Judicial Watch about it. About these illegal unmaskings, there's been this debate this week about the section of the law that allows foreign surveillance without the typical warrants that are obtained for citizens. They won't even confirm or deny any unmaskings took place in our litigation. So you got Congress approving reauthorization of the process that led, it looks like, to massive violations and abuses in terms of unmaskings last year, and Congress is just going to reauthorize it. So I know the foreign intelligence aspect of that ability to monitor foreigners abroad is important. Well, let's not buy a pig in a poke, because the abuses are so overwhelming, it looks like. I don't see how Congress can fairly debate the issue without taking those abuses and having a full understanding of those abuses to account. I really don't. So, with respect to the dossier and the unmaskings, Congress is looking at it, but more importantly, we're looking at it. So hopefully we finally start getting documents, and I've advised the White House directly, and I say it from the mountaintops all the time, we need extreme transparency on this Russia collusion scandal. Because I'm convinced the public, deserves and has the right to know what went on, but will expose terrible corruption by the FBI, the Justice Department, and the Obama gang, and show a massive abuse of power in the investigation that's designed to put the president or his family in jail, which in my view should be shut down.